Hey, what up, guys? It's Ryan with Brainstorm. So the surface area of spheres is a formula. Like, it's one of those things where you kind of have to just know the formula. And obviously, you know what a sphere is. It's basically like a ball, right? So you have this, three-dimensional ball, basketball, whatever. And so it still has a radius, even though it's three-dimensional. You can still have a radius, right? We'll call that r. And the formula for the surface area of a sphere is weird. And that's why, a lot of times I like say, hey, don't just memorize formulas, let's figure out the logic. But this one's pretty weird. The surface area of any sphere is simply 4 pi r squared, which is kind of weird if you think about it. That means 4 circles. So apparently, if you had 4 circles and you crunched them all around together, they would somehow form a ball. That's pretty weird. But either way, this is the formula, so you'll probably get all these right? And so, whatever, here's a sphere here. And if I gave you the radius, look, that's the only variable. You plug it in and you're totally done with this problem. So this section is going to be pretty easy. So let's give this some dimensions. Maybe it's 4 meters is the radius. And the other thing about sphere problems, if they want to give you a bunch of math problems with spheres, they don't have to draw it. They could just be like, what's the surface area of a sphere if the radius is 4, right? The picture is nice, but you don't even need it. So now the surface area will be equal to 4, and then pi is 3.14 times radius squared, 4 squared. And that then pretty easy math. Don't forget order of operations. 4 squared first, 16, times 4, I think that's 64, times 3.14, and then I would just do that in a calculator. And that would be rounding and be about 201, and the units were meters, so that's meters squared because we're dealing with area. Area is always units squared, and our units are meters. So I wish I could make this a little more dramatic, but it's pretty easy. It's 4 pi r squared. The one thing that's a little bit of a trick is this. They might try to throw you off and say something like this. They could be like, hey, find the surface area of a sphere if the diameter is equal to whatever 10 meters, and then you're like, well, that's easy because surface area, I totally know the formula, and it's 4 pi r squared, and then you're going to put 10 in for r. Just don't forget, okay, if they give you the diameter is twice as long as radius. In other words, to get the radius from the diameter, you just chop this in half. So don't mess up. This would be 4 pi would be 3.14 times, what is the radius? If the diameter is 10, the radius is half that, so 5. So 5 squared. 5 squared is 25, times 4 would be 100, times 3.14. And I know that 100 times anything moves the decimal 2 places, so that'd be 314. My units would be meters squared. So the only thing I can possibly imagine that might be hard about this section is if they don't give you the radius, right? Usually they're just going to give you the radius, plug it in, square it, multiply by 4, times pi, and you're done. If they try to get tricky and give you diameter, who cares? Chop it in half and then you're done. So that's literally it for surface area spheres. If you know this formula, you're going to get them all right. All right, good luck.